You're a career radio guy. Give me your dream radio booth. You, another host, and a producer.
Oh my God. I may have already done that.
Yeah.
I mean, the Tony Bruno show when we had Joe Eunice or Nick Cale producing was a hell of a lot of fun. I mean, I'm very fortunate to have worked with a lot of great people in the industry. I mean, I worked with Jody Mac. That was a blast back on the old AM days before we even went to FM. I mean, I've done stuff with John DiBella, Tony Bruno. I mean, you think about it, these guys in Philadelphia. There's a lot of talent here. But I'd probably say Bruno with either Joe Eunice producing or Nick Cale.
What went into like that being such a good team?
Just the craziness of Tony, and being able to play off of him, and some I've talked to that have known him for a long time, and even guys that are program directors have said that they thought he sounded the best with me. So I took that as a huge compliment because he's been there, done it all in the industry, and worked with some other great people too. So I think it was just sort of a good group where the producer knew when to back off, when to push one of us or when to push both of us, and then I'd know when to tweak him. And it was you could set him off in no time. There wasn't the term triggered wasn't used back when we worked together, but I triggered him on a daily basis.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, and Kyle, you might be too young to really remember.
No, the Bruno and Mays days.
No. I'm going further. I'm going to go a little further back for a second.
Now.
Yeah. So I go back to Tony when he was first at WIP.
Oh yeah,
Mr. Monday Night and all that stuff. And then when he went out to the West Coast in LA, and you were listening to him online,
Best Damn Sports Show, the TV show.
Yeah, and they did the TV thing. So I remember all that stuff, and I can tell you with absolute certainty, Tony was at his best when he was with Harry.
I appreciate that.
That was the best pairing for Tony.
Yeah.
As crazy as he was at times in those other environments, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
The show that he did with you, Harry, was when Tony was at his best.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was great chemistry between you guys.
Yeah, me too. I love those days. I laughed my ass off every day for about 3.5 out of the 4 hours. Honestly.
Is that when you know it's good? When it's just that easy and just, you're just laughing. You're like, yeah, it's more like shooting shit at a bar.
Yes. Yeah. Because I mean, it can be a grind. I mean, there's no doubt about when you're trying to, grind phone calls on a slow day and a slow month of the sports calendar. It cannot be fun. But we've pretty much found a way to have fun mostly every day. Some at the my program director didn't necessarily like how we did it every day, but we were having fun.
What were some of the gripes? Did you guys not like to take phone calls, or did you not like to, or just kind of the way you guys just fucked around?
Well, I just think that like the forced content of talking about pretty much the same thing every day gets to be a grind, and that's that can beat you up a little bit. But
hammer the Eagles, hammer the Eagles, hammer.
Yeah. But I've always said when people say, is it hard? I said, hey, I'm not tarring a roof. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, this is pretty easy work. So very fortunate.
They didn't always do Eagles. I mean, I was on their show a couple of times, so I mean, they did talk Flyers a few times, right?
We did, yeah, we did.
I remember sitting out at the Flyers alumni golf outing with you guys.
Oh yeah,
and we had like a whole 25-30 minute segment, and it was hysterical. Like, we were just laughing the entire time.
Right,
it was a really, really good time with you guys then.
And then when the Sixers were doing the process, it was hard not to talk about that during the season because of what they were doing, and it was so unconventional. And then the players that they'd start to filter in. So there was other stuff to talk about. But I was with Jody when the Phillies were in their run in 2008, 2009. That was a freaking blast because Jody loves baseball. I mean, he's primarily first a baseball guy. Yeah. And we did the parade. I was fortunate enough to do 2 parades. During the show, the parade was going on and we're out there. I mean, it was a tremendous experience.
What was your favorite era? So I'm going to break them into the Eagles run from like 2000 to 2004, the Phillies run from 07 to 11, and then the process era. What was your favorite era, you think?
Out of those 3, I'd say the Phillies run, because the Andy Reid run, I wasn't on the Fanatic. I was up in the Lehigh Valley for, I'd say, 2003, 4, and 5. So I was up there for the majority of those NFC Championship, and Super Bowl run before. Yeah, that was before even the Fanatic got underway.
Hmm.
So,
So
I'll say the Phillies.
I'm going to throw something at you, Harry, because I have what I feel is a minority opinion for many, especially in the with the younger generation. But I think that maybe you might be in line with me. Yes, this is always going to be a football Eagles town. There's no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
But when the Phillies are good, it rivals. It's almost on the same par when it comes to fan interest in this town as football. Fair? Is that a fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, because I mean, we lived it during that time when, 07 through 2012, 2011, whenever it crashed and burned. I mean, that was an incredible, run of years. And the thing about the baseball season, it's every day. There's
Right.
action, and it starts, or you're looking forward to pitchers and catchers. We used to count down the days,
Yeah.
when the truckload of equipment and stuff would drive to Clearwater was like a day we celebrated back then. And then it went away for a while. And I think it's back now with this crew because, I mean, they really pulled me back in. I had drifted away from baseball with the analytics and, of course, with the team going into the tank for a couple of years, getting old, and then, trying to dig their way out of it and build up the minor league system. But I'm back on it now. How can you not be? That was some incredible fun in the second half of that season and on into the playoffs, man.